Hi everyone, so we have made it to our final week, so I'm going to be going over what you'll be doing in this last week of the course. So I have been looking over the drafts of the Reader's Guide and the ones I've seen so far. People are off to a great start, so our main focus between now and Wednesday, when you turn in your final draft, is to fine-tune that draft and make any revisions that you need to make during that time, and also add the final piece, which is the editor's projected inquiry, which I'll be talking about in a minute. So for the peer response to the Reader's Guide draft, I'm having you use two resources. So the Reader's Guide checklist, this will be out later Sunday. I'm still putting, no, sorry, not the Reader's Guide checklist. That's already available. So this is available to you. And if you can't see it, it's probably because you are not logged into your UNCC Google account. But if you can't see it, you can also click this link and look at it there. So this is meant to, just give you a checklist of everything that you need. So eventually, by Wednesday, you should be able to check everything off here. And you can do this as many times as you like. But we're also going to be using it for peer review on Monday. So if you see an issue that someone in your group has an issue, or something they're doing is, they're not doing something that is here, you can simply copy and paste from here into the Google Comments if you like. So use this as, however you need it to comment on your group members' drafts. What is going to be available by the end of the day on Sunday are my general comments on Reader's Guide drafts. So I'm making a list of all of the things I'm seeing people doing well and things that people may need to revise. I am breaking it up section by section for the Reader's Guide draft. Okay, and let's see. So please make sure that you are doing a thorough peer review of that. And then the editor's projected inquiry. So I want to talk about this because this is one of my favorite parts of the Reader's Guide, is this final piece that you add. We think of it as kind of like a bonus, kind of a bonus feature of your Reader's Guide. So you do not need to go out and do any more research for this assignment. So what you're doing is you are coming up with a new question you have as a result of the research you've done. So it's kind of a hypothetical projected inquiry, since we don't actually have another semester. But if you had another semester to keep looking into your topic, what direction would you take it in? So you're looking at the resources in your Reader's Guide, what you've said about those sources, and you're thinking up a new question that should be different from your original guiding question. So you have your original guiding question, and then, we have this idea that we talked about with the Parlor that no topic is finished. It's always just constantly changing and in flux. And so now that you know more about your topic, what question interests you now about it? What direction would you want to go with it? What is, you're a more informed researcher, so what do you think would be an even more interesting and informed question that you would ask if you had more time to do more research? So think of the research you've done as a leaping off point into an aspect of your topic that you'd like to research further, but that you are not going to actually research. So you're simply coming up with a good question. So we started the Extended Inquiry Project with a question, and we are finishing with a question to emphasize inquiry-based research, okay? So you're going to use Google Drawings, and this is this can be a very basic Google drawing. That's fine. You want to show us your original guiding question, and then evidence from your sources and things that you have written about those sources that led you to your new question. Separate from the infographic that you will add to the Reader's Guide, so not for this rough draft, you don't have to include this editor's commentary, but you'll just add this to provide some context in your reader's guide once we move the drawing there on Tuesday. Okay, so here are some examples of original guiding questions, and then a projected inquiry question. And if you go back to, let's see here, when we looked at the student examples, let's see. Yes, so the Reader's Guide student examples have examples of the projected inquiry in them. So let's see, let me open one of these up. And if I go to the very end, yes, so you can see here's the student's original question, their new question, and then evidence from their sources that led them to their new question. So they did not go out and do extra research. They're just pulling this material from the sources they've already collected. And then this is their editor's commentary to provide some context, okay? So for Monday, go down to our week here. The draft, you don't need to provide the editor's commentary. You are just going to turn in the drawing, okay? And there's the directions in there for that. Tuesday, you're going to do a brief revision plan on the feedback, based on the feedback that you got from your group members and also my general comments there. And keep going back to the wrong date here. Okay. And also on Tuesday, you're going to do a peer response to your editor's projected inquiry drafts. And you'll see that that you have the option of however you want to communicate with your group members about these. So if you wanted to get together on Zoom or text or whatever you want, if nobody from your group is responding, I would default to the comments, Google Comments on the draft, okay? Then you can add the editor's projected inquiry to your reader's guide once you have a final version of it, and this will come at the end, and there are specific instructions for doing that. And so Wednesday, please go through the reader's guide checklist again. Again, you can do this as many times as you would like, okay, before you submit the final draft of your reader's guide. Okay, so to submit the final draft, you're going to, oops, sorry about that. To submit the final draft, you're going to save it as a PDF with your first and last name and reader's guide. Okay, so make sure that you have made all the changes that you want to make before you save that. So our final in the course is a final reflection assignment, and it is due on Friday on the last day. Okay, so you're going to look it over so you have, once you submit the reader's guide, you have basically those final 2 days to work on that final reflection assignment. And you'll see you have a choice of what you would like to discuss. So this list is meant to give you some ideas about terms that you've been introduced to in the class that you might want to use in your responses. So you're going to choose 3 questions or discussion prompts from the question bank, and there are 8 questions. So where it says Q1, that's the major question. The bulleted points below are to help you respond to that question. So you want to try to be as specific as you can, use specific evidence or from what you've done in the course to answer these questions. So pick the 3 that are the most interesting to you that you would like to respond to, and you're writing for each question about 250 to 300 words. So your total for the reflection would be 750 to 900 words. Please indicate which question you are responding to. So it's pretty straightforward. And then the only other thing that you are turning in, and I wish it would stop going down in that week. Okay, so is your research and writing group participation evaluation. So only I will see these, and you are going to simply list your group members and put a numerical evaluation based on their engagement in the peer review process. So on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, try to be as honest as you can. And you don't need to provide a explanation at all. And the grade that you'll receive is an average of how your group members rated you. So let's say you have 2 group numbers and they gave you an 8 and a 9, then that would be an average of an 8.5, which you would see as a grade of an 85. Okay. All right, so this is it for the course. So please let me know if you have any questions throughout the week, and keep up the great work.